Well, good morning and welcome to Garden with Peggy. And look at those daffodils. Oh my, and those are the pink ones. I love daffodils. They make me happy in the spring. And at this time of year, I absolutely can't stand them. All of those leaves, and they're laying down and they're flat and they look squished and they're partly brown. And you got to pull them out and you got to pull the dead flowers. And I always have mixed feelings about these daffodils. Love them in the spring, not so happy with them in the summer. Now I have got daylilies planted around them, and that does help camouflage leaves, but dead leaves are just plain old ugly. So, you don't want to pull them out too soon here. Alfie is being less than cooperative. You can see he's here, but he's laying down on the desk. Okay, he's just being Alfie. So the number here, if you'd like to call, 888-399-7344. You can give us a call. Allison sent me a text that she has some pictures of a mulberry tree that she's having some problems with. So those pictures are ready to go, Allison, if you want to give us a call. I also got a text from my dear friend Anne Marie. So if she would like to report on the Keyport Garden Club walk, which was yesterday and today, so you can still go. That would be good. What else? I should remind you that we are on Facebook and YouTube. All right, Alfie, you have got to go. Now say hello to everybody, make your hellos, and now we're going to put you down. If he's going to be a wiggle worm, he can't stay up here. Okay, so we're also on TikTok. Are we on TikTok? And Instagram, we're on those little things, and there's reels and shorts, and who knows where we're going to show up. We are doing better on our subscriptions, so if everybody please subscribe, that would be great. Where are we? About 264, I think. 565. Oh, wow. We got another one since I looked. So we're up to 265. So the goal of 1,000 is still way out there, but we're doing our best. So in the meantime, again, the number, if you want to call and have questions, and you can send me pictures and questions on my email address, which has been adjusted, now works really, really well. All this stuff is tricky. gardenwithpeggy@gmail.com. So you can send me pictures there and questions. And if I get your pictures, preferably, before Saturday. By Saturday, usually the show is done. Sometimes I can squeeze something in. But if you get me your pictures, then I can get them on the air and you can call and we can talk about them. So that's gardenwithpeggy@gmail.com. So I think, husband, what should we do this week at Tiny Farm? Okay, so we always try to start with this week at Tiny Farm, so that's what we're going to do. All right, that is my climbing hydrangea, or one of the climbing hydrangeas, or several of the climbing hydrangeas all climbing together. Hard to tell, but because there was, how many did we put there? 5? I think we put 5 there, and they're just amazing. They're all growing together. They're covering the fence. They lived there with a statue of Bacchus, which is kind of cool. Worked out very well. This is a close-up of the flowers. They're not the most beautiful of the hydrangea flowers, but there's a lot of them, and some of them, that one's probably 8 inches across. So they climb, they attach, they are very shade tolerant, more, I would say not as shade tolerant as the oak leaf hydrangea, but more shade tolerant than the hydrangea macrophyllus, the ones with the big, beautiful flowers. So I think they have a really good purpose and can be used to camouflage ugly fences, which is what mine's doing. And although my fence isn't that ugly, but still. All right, this is Tommy. For those of you who haven't met him yet, this is my husband. And he is standing in the blueberry bed next to, you can see those very, very strange alliums. First time that they're doing anything. And I planted them in the fall. And I don't know what that pointy thing on the top is going to turn into, but they are well over 6 feet tall. They have grown even a bit more since I took this picture. So I'm excited to see what they do. They're just a spear, like with a bulb on it. I don't know. We'll see. But it's fun and different. And I'm not sure which one it is if I wanted to give you a variety name, but it'll bloom soon. I'll probably have pictures of it for you by next week. And this is one of the other alliums. This is a white allium, but it's only maybe 2.5 feet tall. Nowhere near as tall as that other monster. Oh, this is a little iris. It's not a bearded iris. I can't give you the name of it because it came with the house. I have pulled out some of it. I've moved some of it around. It's such a beautiful shade of purple. I love it. Not crazy about the plant though, because the plant tends to lay down flat. It's not upright. And I find that slightly distressing. It looks like somebody stepped on it a lot of the times. Not all of it, but a lot of it. And but the color, and it is so beautiful. And I have tried to preserve some of the things that we found here. We got rid of a lot, but some things were worth keeping, and we try to find those things and keep them. And occasionally things still show up, especially in the woods. All right, these are the blueberries. Do you see how many blueberries are on those branches? It's just a tremendous number of blueberries. We're going to just have so many blueberries. We're probably all going to turn into Smurfs. I don't know. It's just going to be so blue. But you can see the ones on the left are starting to turn blue. Just a little bit. You can see hints of blue on there. So I have pictures from June 16th from last year where we were harvesting blueberries. So I can imagine in the next week or so, we're going to be able to have fresh blueberry pancakes, which will be lovely. All right, this is my corkscrew willow, which was a gift from my friend Mel last year. But we went over there and Bob and Nancy got one too. And they said theirs is doing well, but I think mine's doing great. I'm thrilled with it. It's, covering camouflaging the chain link fence a bit, but here's a close-up. See how it's all like twisty and curly, and it's just fun. I just really, really like it. Okay, we're gonna take a little break from this, and we're gonna go to the phones. Do we know who's calling? Just a
Sarah.
Okay, we're gonna go to the phones. Tommy said he thinks it's Sarah, but it's from East Brunswick. It's good morning. To whom am I speaking? Sarah.
Hello.
Who am I speaking to?
This is Ira.
Hi, Ira. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry you got bumped off from the radio station.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Ira. Yeah. But now I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, so I'm looking at that as an advantage.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
and
it is.
Also, and also, the winter report, they have it out already.
Oh, wow.
But and also, I hope winter will be terrible with lots of snow and ice storms.
No, that's too much. A nice snowstorm to cover the ground and the trees to make everything look pretty around the holidays is lovely, but we don't need too much snow, Ira. It's shoveling snow is not fun, and slipping in the ice isn't fun either.
I know.
So I will
be snowed in.
I will be happy for you. See, it's always good to find something positive. So if it snows and my husband starts talking about moving to Florida or being a snowbird and get me all upset, I will think of you and how much joy it's bringing you. So it's good that I know how much you like it, because it's, what we call a silver lining.
And also, and plus, I don't know if you ever got my pictures that I sent you my setup.
Yes, I did get your pictures, and I did write back that you have that you're a ham radio expert. Good for you.
Yes, and it's the best during the snowstorm.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Everybody likes to talk during the snowstorm.
Yes.
Well, I don't think you're going to have a snowstorm for a while. So you're going to have to find something else to talk about. But it's so nice that you finally called and checked in with us. And I know we didn't have a lot of snow this past winter, but I'll keep my fingers crossed for you for next winter, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Have a great week, Ira. I think we lost Ira. Okay, so we're going to stick with the phones for a minute, and we're going to go over to Milltown, and we're going to have a talk with my dear friend Anne Marie. Hey, Anne Marie from Milltown.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I just want anybody that can get to Keyport today to go for the most wonderful, I hate to say free event, but it is free flowing. You just can't have enough good times there. And I actually have marked the numbers on the map that they give you of the homes you must see. If I can repeat them, is that okay?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so they give you a lovely folder with a map in it and a description of each section, and they do it by color. And each house that has a garden to share has a flag outside, a little yellow flag with its number on. So it's really very easy to navigate. And Keyport is a lovely, lovely old town up and down the hills, but very pleasant. So in the red section, number 5 is really quite special. And that'll be special to you because that is Nancy Carew. You know her?
No, well, possibly. There's an awful lot of people that I know from
she
the
may have been
radio
the one
that I
that
don't
started
really
the garden
know.
club. Well, she has a house, an old house, a very old house, and she has more plants than you will ever accumulate.
Oh, wow.
Now that's saying something, Peg.
Yeah, that is
But
saying something.
they every inch is planted. There's bamboo. There's painted bed frames. It is just like you can't believe where you are. So it was a great fun place, and she's very charming. But I thought she said she knew you from. I don't know. Did you ever speak at one of their events?
Yes, I
at
did.
The,
I
okay,
did,
I think that's
definitely.
where she put the name together. Okay, so that is a great house. Then there's a blue section and a purple section. Well, in the blue section, number 27. If you don't go for anything, you need to go to number 27, which faces the water. It is a beautiful 3-story home that has gardens and fairy villages, and you can go
Oh,
up
I
there
want a fairy
backstairs.
village. Can we build a fairy village? Could we build a fairy village in the woods? I want a fairy village.
Okay, that's the next project in the woods.
Yeah.
But this house is beautiful, and the people in Keyport are the most gracious gardeners outside of Pegi, Ballister House
Oh,
that you'll
thank
ever
you.
find. So please go visit them. And tell them, if you might say that you know Peggy Ballister, and they might say, "Oh, I know her."
Well, I'll tell
then
you, that's one of the things
Go ahead.
about the gardening world is that gardeners tend to be wonderful people. And it's why I've been doing this as long
Okay.
as I have, because it's just, you make
Great.
so many friends. I mean, Anne Marie, I met you through this. So, it's just the way it is. Gardening people tend to be wonderful people. They like to share. They like to learn. They like to experiment. They like to be creative. It's fun, and it crosses all the imaginary barriers. It doesn't matter about age or race or ethnicity or even language. People can share that information and seeds and plants, even if they don't speak the same language. To share them over the fence. It's just a wonderful community, and Keyport really takes it up a notch. So, I mean, I have been there a number of times, not in the last couple of years, but yes, and it is always delightful. Hey, I have a question. Did they give you a canvas bag?
No, they actually had those out for sale. They had some from last year, and then they had new ones for this year, and they also had T-shirts.
Ooh, they usually have fantastic bags with beautiful artwork on them. So they used to give them away.
Yes,
I
the
guess not.
artwork on the front of the folder is I'll show you when I see you, but it's Black Eyed Susans with a goldfinch. I think it's a goldfinch, but the name for the thing was I don't know, feeding time or something cute, because the bird has come to eat the seeds from the flower. So I thought that was pretty clever.
Very nice.
If you go to the purple section, number 10, it has the most outrageous backyard. It has everything from a fire pit to a pool to a seated area to a 2-hole little practice your golf. It's beautiful. And they have dogs.
Now there's an idea. Yeah, that could be a good project for us. Little golf thing, little putting thing. We could do that.
And then number 13 was just the sweetest elder couple, and I have no business saying that because I am elder, but they have the smallest piece of property that they couldn't keep grass growing, so everything is grown with a front lawn, not a lawn, of an evergreen that crawls, and the back, and they were just the sweetest couple, and they couldn't wait for you to come and visit and to sit a few minutes. So they just were amazing. But here's my best message, because Nancy Steen, you know her?
Nancy Honstein. Yes, of course.
Okay. Well, she was so excited to see me. She recognized me. She also that was the year of sharing the white peonies. And so she also has one. And what I want to say, number one, is she has crazy alum, but hers were all done blooming.
Oh.
She has ones that are as big as a soccer ball.
Wow. Yeah, I have one of those too. Yeah, they're
okay.
They're outrageous.
Well, she was so excited that I knew where you were, because she knew you weren't on the radio anymore, and she had no idea that you were continuing in your career of teaching and sharing and giving. That I told her all about YouTube, and I'm hoping that she's listening this morning, but I did tell her she could go backwards and see all the previous shows, but she could certainly call you and speak to you live, so that she was really excited. And so that was the, some of the best things. And then there's a small section at the far end of the orange section. Those houses have small gardens. They're very interesting what you can do with a little bit of dirt that you have. You can have it look beautiful. It doesn't have to be a patch of grass or a patch of stone. So I just wanted to share that it was wonderful. And also at the talk, Rutgers, they were there from Rutgers, and they talked about invasive plants and native alternative landscaping. So how was that? That was
I'm
good.
sure anything
and they
that
gave us
that they absolutely hated, that they absolutely don't want you to plant.
Well, he wasn't that violent about stuff, but
Okay.
They said the things that grow along the highway usually are bad. They are not native. They've come from who knows where. And because the reason that, for everyone else that didn't know this like me, the things that are not native have no predators and no diseases. And that is why they get invasive, and they will eventually take over what was a native that had resistance to whatever. They did talk a lot about our friendly little Bambis that come around and eat anything that they think they like. But there isn't a whole lot that's truly deer resistant. But they gave us some seedlings of seaside goldenrod.
Oh,
you know that?
Yes, I do. Very pretty.
Well, I have some. I have some for you.
Oh, well, thank you. No, it's very pretty. It's very pretty, and yes, it
Well,
blooms
it's a butterfly.
It blooms in the fall, which is nice. When other things have kind of slowed down, so that's nice. And
right.
And it
was a great day, and the weather was fabulous. You couldn't have asked for a better day, and today should be as nice. So take yourself down to Keyport, anybody that can, and just enjoy a day out. You deserve a Sunday off.
Well, there you go. So thank you very much for sharing that. I appreciate it. I don't know if I'm going to get there today, but everybody else should try. Just if you have, where do you start? So where do you go to get that
You go
little flyer?
to go towards the water because you're going to West Front Street, and then you make a left and that takes you right down to the water, and that's called American Legion Drive. And down there is a huge gazebo, and in there are the gardening people, and they will give you this map, this booklet, and they'll give you a little flyer on all the places that you could go and catch some lunch if you wanted. And, just a little bit of chat to tell you a little bit about whatever.
Okay, so you want to look for the gazebo down by the water on American Legion.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Okay.
Cannot miss it.
All right. Well, that's perfect.
If you stay on Front Street, you can, if you get to Broad Street, you can make a left there. There's a traffic light at Broad to go down, but there's no light at West Front Street. But
Okay.
Just Google.
There's probably signs too, I would think.
Say it again, Peggy.
I said there are probably signs, I would expect.
I can't say there were a huge amount of signs for directions, honestly.
Oh.
I mean, the map is very easy to follow, and the streets are all named, and the houses are numbered, and a white number with a colored circle. So, I mean, they've really done a beautiful job of making this happen.
But to figure out how to get to the gazebo, there's no signs that say, go this way, turn here. No?
No, I don't think so. We ended up coming down, 35, Art? Here, let Art talk now.
Just put in GPS, American Legion Way.
Keyport.
Okay, that's
American
perfect.
Legion Drive, Keyport. It'll get you right there.
Okay, perfect. All right, Uncle Art, thanks for helping. Anne Marie, thank you for sharing.
I have to say, for an old town, their map is the streets are very squared off.
Really?
So it's easy to follow.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank
Everybody
you for
have
sharing.
fun.
You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye now. All right. So we're going to go back to the slides of this week at Tiny Farm. And again, the number, if people want to call, is 888-399-7344 if you would like to call. And what time is it? We still have about half an hour, right? Is that correct?
10:20.
It's 10:20. Okay, we've got plenty of time. All right. So you may remember the jujubes. Jujubes are a candy that a while ago I was talking about jujubes to my husband, and he didn't have a really clear memory of them. And I was thinking about them because Juniper, my big dog, her nickname was Jujube. And so I looked up Jujube to show my husband a picture of the candy. And what to my wondering eyes should appear, but there is a jujube tree. And the pictures of those red fruits that they're very apple-like in consistency, right? But they have a pit, but they're very apple-like in texture, of a little like a very crunchy apple, though not a soft apple, very crunchy apple. And they have nice flavor, and you can get them dried. And what actually showed up was a place to buy a jujube tree. So I bought a jujube tree and I planted it. And that's it on the left. But it has been traumatized because it was about twice as tall with a couple of little side branches on the top. And I didn't have a cage around it. And it was fine. I planted it last year. It was my birthday present. I planted it in the fall. It looked good. It got through the winter. It looked like it was still very viable. Everything was good. And then one day I look out and I see Juniper, also known as Jujube, with her head sideways, chewing on the trunk, and snapped it basically in half and chewed up and down the part of the trunk that was left. And the whole thing was really stressful, and I was really upset with her, but she said it was her tree, so, she could do what she wanted with it, which is not exactly the case. I left it in anticipation of maybe something will happen, and there it is. It's growing. I'm not sure exactly how the shape is going to work out. It's going to need to produce a new leader, which it does have the ability to do. It's now protected. She doesn't seem interested in it anymore. She's never tried to get through the cage, but At least it's alive and well. This is the Deutzia. This is one of the plants that has been here that we rescued. There were more. There were like 5 of them or 6 of them, and I only kept 2. But this is a close-up of the flower. They're not so common to try to buy, and in some places I have seen that they're considered invasive, and maybe that's how there got to be so many on my property. Maybe they did self-sow. I haven't seen any coming up as seedlings in the last few years since, we narrowed it down to the 2 that are left, but that may be why there were 5, or maybe they planted 5. They are very pretty and just have many, 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 many flowers on them. All right, so we should go back to the phones and have a little chat with Allison, and we're going to need to switch over to Allison's mulberry pictures. So, Allison, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing well. So you sent me pictures yesterday of this mulberry tree, and somebody wants to take it down.
Yes, it in the middle of it. I guess you can see stuff. They've tried to cut it down. It's real close to right on a property line, and as you can see, with 180-inch circumference, it's kind of big.
Yeah,
and it's surrounded by evergreens.
It's magnificent,
and it's a magnificent tree, but the root system is. I think I took a picture of one of the roots and sent it to you. It's just huge. They're sticking up above the ground a foot.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
And then it's really cool. And if you had a lot of land and it wasn't taking up so much space, it probably wouldn't be under the threat of a chainsaw. But they've tried to get rid of it and they don't know what to do. And she says, we've got somebody that'll cut it down, but what do you do with the stump? And I says, no. I says, you can kill the stump and it'll rot. It's not going to happen overnight, but
well, it will definitely send up suckers, and you'll get, but as long as you keep mowing the suckers, you'll get rid of them. It breaks my heart to see this magnificent tree come down. But if they want it
that big, huh?
If they want it to come down and they have somebody, you want to get them to cut it as close to the ground as possible. And really, most companies that take down trees will grind out the stump. And they have.
Well, this is a family member that's going to take it out.
Oh, well, in that case, they might not have a stump grinder.
Exactly.
But that's, geez, you could cut it up higher and make a table out of it. It's huge.
I thought about that too. It's huge. You could have a picnic out there.
Really, it's. I would be. Tommy and I cut down a tree that was even bigger than this when we first got to Tiny Farm, and it's 4 feet in diameter, and it broke. See how this tree breaks into several trunks? My tree, it was a red maple. It about 12 feet up, it split into 3 trunks, and 2 of the trunks were dead. And the third one was alive, but it wasn't thriving. And it was right next to the barn. And it was easily 4 feet in diameter. And so if it ever came down, it would take everything in its path. Everything. It was ginormous.
Yeah.
It was really, really huge.
This one split at the bottom, and one side, it goes about 4 feet up, and it's all broken and diseased looking, and
that's the picture.
A shoot or 2 coming out of it.
Yeah, that's the picture that's on the screen right now. That part that what looks like somebody tried to cut that part already. Anyway, and this is it's just a suggestion because it's something that I did and I love it. So they may want to do something like this as well. So the middle section of my gigantic tree, that is a single trunk on the bottom, and it's right where it branches into the 3 big trunks. I saved that piece, and the bulldozer put it in the woods. So, and I put a face on it. That's where we can start the fairy garden, by where the face is on the tree trunk. Oh, you just inspired me, Allison. So, but it's just such, it's magnificent, and it's, enormous, and there's mushrooms growing, vines growing up it, and it looks so cool in the woods with this face showing through everything. So what I'm looking at on this tree, the part on the right, which is kind of in the worst shape, and I'm sure it's in even worse shape because clearly somebody tried to cut it at one point. But the part on the left that I'm looking at is so sculptural. It's just really beautiful. And I can even sort of see a face in it. So if they wanted to save that piece to sort of commemorate the tree and stick it someplace, they could cut it so it's, flat on the top. The several trunks are flat, and they could put pots on it, or they could just stick it someplace, or they could even make a table base out of it and then put like a piece of tabletop on top of it. There's lots of options, but that one section is just so sculptural looking. They may want to try to preserve it because it's like, again, nature's work of art. But to get to the point of how do you get rid of it if you can't grind it out, and they don't want to pay somebody to come and grind it out. I had a trunk in the front of my house that couldn't be pulled out because it was right next to a gas line. I spent literally, this is no exaggeration, Allison, a month every day digging it out with a hand trowel and a hand cultivator, because we had to expose enough of it to make absolutely certain it was nowhere near the gas line. You couldn't even, go down that deep with a shovel. You had to be really careful. So when I got it about 6 inches below grade and it was completely clear of the gas line, I got somebody to come in and grind it down to below grade. And that's where the driveway is now, where the new driveway that we added is. So it's covered that spot, but we had to do that in order to have it ground out. But the point is that they only charged me $100 to come in and grind it out. So if they want to pursue having somebody come in and grind it out, it's not going to be anywhere near as expensive as having somebody come in and take a monster tree like this down. So a small investment might save them a lot of work. But on the other hand, if the most important thing is get it as close to the ground as possible when they do the cuts, get it as close to the ground as possible. Then you want to get a really powerful drill. There's, drills come in all kinds of strengths, and you want to get the kind of blades to cut that are like as big as they can handle. So like maybe an inch wide. They come even bigger than that, but it becomes difficult to drill. If they can't do that, just the regular drill bits, the biggest one that they can get.
Oh, they've got big bits.
So that's what they want to make it, like a honeycomb. That's what they want to. They want to fill it, get it close to the ground, make as many holes as they can get in it, and then you want to fill it with lawn fertilizer. Just pack it with lawn fertilizer. And the reason that I say lawn fertilizer, you could do any fertilizer, but lawn fertilizer is highest in nitrogen. That's the first number, and it tends to be very high. And the reason you want the high nitrogen is decomposition is based on a carbon to nitrogen ratio, and wood has no nitrogen and is all carbon. You want as much nitrogen in there as possible to help maintain the balance necessary for it to decompose. And then after you've cut it, flush, drill it, fill it with fertilizer, you want to cover it with dirt. You want to pack it with soil all the way around it. And then you want to keep it wet. And if you can do all those things, it will deteriorate and decompose relatively quickly. It's going to take a while, but relatively quickly.
Okay. Yeah. So when you go out to water your flowers, you water your fertilizer to kill the stump every day.
That's pretty much it. That's correct. keep it moist, and that will help it to decompose. Mulberry wood is not particularly hard, so it's it's not like an oak tree that's even harder to decompose. It's relatively soft wood, so it should decompose. You'll begin to see some signs of decomposition probably by next spring, but it's going to take a couple years to completely go away.
Yeah. Well, that tree didn't create. It's been growing forever.
Yeah, I would think. Like I said, it would break my heart to take that tree down, but you can most definitely salvage that one piece and do something artsy with it, if they're artsy at all. I know you're a little bit artsy, so I'm sure that you could use your creativity to come up with something.
I was thinking take that really big piece and maybe make it 2 foot or 3 foot. Make 3 foot sections. And take your chainsaw and dig down and make it a hole and put the potting soil in it, and you can put your plants there so it's level.
Well, I'm sure you could come up with a whole bunch of different ways of doing different kinds of things. It's it's wood, so it's somewhat malleable. You could do different things with it, and it's gorgeous. So just send me pictures. I want to see pictures when you're done, whatever you do with it.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Always a pleasure. Give my regards to everybody.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
I will. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Back to this week at Tiny Farm. Okay. So that's the Deutzia. And this is the rose. I don't have a lot of roses. This is a rose that's right next to the trellis that goes into the Garden of Ancient Ruins. And it's obviously in full bloom right now. And also on that trellis is this beautiful clematis. This is the clematis that the mowing men from last year weed whacked it right down to the ground. I was in tears. So it's only half the size that it was previously, but it did come back and it's blooming. So I'm grateful for that. And this is the other side of the same trellis, the one on the picture on the left. There was a clematis this year that was about to bloom. It was newly planted last year, so wasn't very big, but the mowing men weed whacked it this year. It's just the way it is sometimes. So what we're looking at now is moonflower vines growing up that side of that trellis, and maybe the clematis will come back from the roots. I don't know. I haven't seen any signs of it yet. And on the right there is the other place I planted the moonflower vines using branches of the Harry Lauder's walking stick to provide a support system until it reaches the trellis. Because it's in a pot, I couldn't get it right next to the trellis that forms the entranceway to the vegetable garden. So it was a nice use of the twisty, contorted Harry Lauder walking stick. So. And peas, we have peas. Those are the purple peas. I'm really a little confused. On the left, you can see there's a purple pea, and it is growing side by side with green peas, but they're all the purple pea plants in that area. So I'm not sure exactly why some of the peas on those plants are green and some of the peas are purple, but they're both. Now in the picture on the right, that's the sugar daddy peas. And obviously those are all green and they're half the height. The purple peas are as tall or possibly even taller than the sugar snap plants that I decided not to grow this year because they get so tall, they bend over. These purple ones are even taller. The sugar daddies are half the height and they are staying within bounds of the existing fencing and support system for them. So they're very flat still. They haven't filled out yet, but I took this picture a couple days ago. So I think we may be having peas and cheese for lunch today, maybe, if we're very, very lucky. And this is the willow, the tricolor willow, and you can see how beautiful and full, and it looks so good in amongst all of the other darker green plants. It really like has a neon light shining from it. And you can see it does have pink in it, which is why it's tricolor. And I love this plant. It's on a standard, which is a little unusual. They usually grow more like traditional shrubs, but this one is on a standard. So it gets the white fluffy looking part higher up on the fence, hence further blocking the big ugly building. All right. This is one of those things that's definitely on the invasive list. That honeysuckle, it's frightening how quickly it grows and how aggressive it is, but it does a really good job of covering the fence. It's just, and I think it's pretty. I mean, I pulled out quite a bit. I continue to pull it out. I pull it out selectively in places I don't want it, where it's covering this just page wire fence. It's the fence that separates the backyard from the woods, and I love how it looks. So there it is. And that's the honeysuckle that when you were a kid, you would pluck the flowers and suck the honey out of, the sweetness, the nectar. For somebody who really is not a big fan of hostas, I do like this one. I am softening towards hostas. Now that I have woods and shaded areas that need plant material, I'm being more forgiving of hostas. And since I don't have deer, because if you have a shaded wooded area with deer, you're not going to have hostas. But we don't have any deer in the back. So that's good. This is called Empress Wu, and it is one of the biggest hostas that's available. And it's going to get even bigger than this. It's grown considerably. There's one on the other side of the path that's about half the size of this one. I think it doesn't get as much light. The woods is pretty dark, but on the other side doesn't get as much light as this side. And the other possibility is there's other things planted around this one. I may have watered it more. That may have helped. But here's a close-up of the impending bloom. Pretty cool, right? I mean, that's pretty cool. So I'll be very curious to see what it looks like when it's fully open. And we had some ferns that we put back in the woods, and this is a sensitive fern. It gets those really cool sporulating fronds, which is the sexual stage of reproduction. Most ferns just get spores on the back of some of the fronds being leaves. But this particular plant gets, the sporulating frond looks completely different than the vegetative fronds. And I added more left over from the plant exchange. There were a whole bunch of these, and I stuck them all in the woods. And this is a Solomon seal. This is a variegated Solomon seal. I planted it last year. It's about twice as big this year as it was last year, but it has not bloomed yet. The one that I have in Ocean Grove is blooming, or was blooming a week or so ago. This one's not blooming yet, but it's young. This is Virginia. Very shade tolerant woodland plants, got big leaves. Looks like something's working on it though. I didn't actually see anybody eating it when I was there, but that looks like some sort of insect issue. It hasn't bloomed yet, but this is what it's supposed to look like. And it should have bloomed already. So it's probably not going to bloom this year. I planted it last year, but with a little luck, we'll get some flowers next year. I think that's it. That's the end of this week at Tiny Farm. So I should give the phone number again. It's 888-399-7344. And that's 7344 is Pegi, P-E-G-I. And again, if you want to send me pictures, it's Garden with Pegi, P-E-G-I @gmail.com. So you can call or send pictures, or you can send me a question. And if you don't want to do it on the air, I'll be happy to, just write back. But if you send me pictures and we can share them, then we can get feedback from other people as well. So that's all fun and good. I want to show you something I did this week that I think is very useful. Let's go to the salvaging gloves little slideshow. This is just a short little slideshow. I like leather gloves. Occasionally I like, waterproof gloves for if I'm doing something wet and soggy, but in general, I like leather gloves. I like soft leather gloves. I use some different gloves for different jobs. The women's work gloves are without question the best for doing serious work. But they are very heavy, and I've never tried to use their more delicate gloves. They have goatskin gloves and other gloves. Their standard work glove is great for like digging and hauling and pruning, but not so good for the more delicate kind of work. So I use these other gloves that I get at Tractor Supply, and they're very soft, and I love them, but the fingertips wear out. So this is, I'm right-handed. I'm sure people that are left-handed have the same problem on the left side, but this is what I do. This is an old left glove that I saved because I threw the right glove out and because it had a hole in it. And this is a left glove. And now I just threw out that other one that we had seen. That one, I just threw those out. And now I found this old lefty. You really should wash them first and get them thoroughly dry so that, you know, they're clean when you go to turn them inside out, which is what I'm doing in this picture, which can be tricky. It's not always easy to turn a leather glove inside out. So I use my poking stick. I use that stick for so many different things. And I use both ends, you know, to try to shove it up. But at the very end, the round part worked the best to get it to this stage. So you shove it in there and you turn the left glove inside out, and an inside out left glove becomes a right glove. Yay! This is, you know, this is a grandma thing. Use it up, wear it out, make it do without. You can use the left glove will then be a right glove that you can pair with the other left glove. So save the left gloves. Don't throw them out so that you can reuse it. And you know, it may not last forever, but it's going to extend the life. Now, these gloves run about $25 a pair. So trying to save them and extend the life of them is a very good thing. So now we have an inside out one and a right side out one, but we can continue to use them. You know, I'll get another couple months out of it, which, you know, is good. So I just thought I would share that with you. It works really well. So, okay, we don't have any more callers. And how much time do we have? We still have about, what, 15 minutes? Okay, so what we need to do then is go back to the slides from last week where we were at the plant exchange, and we got partway through, and then we had so many calls last week that we didn't finish. This is Bob and Nancy, and then they were arriving, and they brought lots of plants, as you can see, and goodies to eat. And that pretty little bag with butterfly on it was actually a gift for me, which was so kind, so not necessary, but so appreciated. And then here we are, everyone setting up the food. That's the food tent. Tommy set up the tents. And that over there, that section was vegetables and annuals. You can see over there to the right is, that is my weeping pea shrub. And that is the hammock that I've never been on. It's there in case, you know, I mean, the idea is you're supposed to be able to relax. Well, I think some of our guests have been on it, right? But have you ever laid in it? Maybe maybe, but I don't, not so sure if I ever have. This is the Milltown Girls, which was kind of fun. And that's the entrance to the Garden of Ancient Ruins. And you can see the rose was blooming last week. The clematis wasn't blooming yet, but the Garden of Ancient Ruins has come a long way since we bought the place initially. This is a little ice plant that's in the Garden of Ancient Ruins, and she lives there. Oh, and that's a great picture of Juniper. You don't see her very often. I've tried to get her to come up on my lap and look into the camera, but she won't do it. I don't know why, but that's Juniper, also known as Jujube, the one who ate the jujube tree. And this is from the second floor window. That's the veggie garden and all the tents and people. And if you look way in the back by the barn, you can see the musicians playing. And this is everybody listening to music. That's Uncle Art in the background there. Bob and Nancy again. That's me and good friends, a whole family of that's Liz and Joe and their whole family that came to hang out with us for the day, which was great. Everybody, there was probably 100 people that came and went in the course of the day. A lot of people stayed a while. This was the band, and that's Tommy on the right, and Rose and Doug. And Rose and Doug are a couple, and Doug sang a little bit, but Rose is amazing, and she also played the keyboards, and the music was great. And when Tommy plays with Jimmy and the music is wonderful, I'm always trying to get him to play dance music, and because I love to dance. And they played a lot of dance music. I only actually had time to dance once, but I did dance, and I was so appreciative. And there was a lot of songs that they played from way back where I actually knew the words. How cool is that? So that was, oh, there's me dancing. It was fun. Really had a good time. Oh, that's the gargoyle. That's supposed to be on top of the tree behind it. We haven't gotten it up there yet. It's been a while. Maybe this is the year. But at the very top of that tree now, there's 2 holes, and there are birds living in the top of that tree. And it's just a trunk, because we topped it to be a totem pole, but hasn't gotten to totem pole status yet. And these were in the greenhouse. People were wandering in and out of the greenhouse. And now that is a picture. That is Wolfbane. You don't get to see him very often. When people are around, he tends to hide, but he was hanging out in the greenhouse during the plant exchange. So people did, I'm sure if they tried to pet him, he would have run away, but that's Wolfie. And that is my daughter, Kira. And she was great. She was in the kitchen. She took care of, getting what people needed. And she took care of all the hot dogs, because we served, I think we served about 30 hot dogs. Oh, and here is the surveyor of all that he sees. This little Alfie, he sits on that step and supervises. And that wraps that up. So that was the 4th plant exchange. So we had 2 years where it rained and rained and rained, and 2 years where the weather was absolutely perfect. I still have a few plants left that maybe I'm going to try to find a home for. I have a whole bunch of Pachysandra that was really beautiful. If you happen to like Pachysandra. I don't really like Pachysandra. I have no intention of planting it. If somebody wants 3 big pots of Pachysandra, reach out to me and come and get it. And we have Chris on the line from Scotch Plains. So we're going to talk with him, see what he's up to. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Good morning, Peggy. Good morning. Peggy, I have a question. I really enjoyed the plant exchange last week. I got a Mexican petunia, but I'm noticing there's some white growth on the plant. It doesn't look like mealy bugs, but there's some on the stems and some on the leaves. I was wondering if you've experienced that at all, and if so, how you would deal with it.
I have seen mealybugs on it, but if you say it's not mealybugs, I'm not sure what it is. It's a very tough plant though, Chris. So if it were me, okay, I would, spritz it with very soapy water, get it really soapy, and then hose it off. And if there's anything that's still there, use a stiff artist's paintbrush. You can use a toothbrush too, but a toothbrush is harder to get into because of the arrangement of where the bristles are sideways instead of at the end. If you use a stiff artist paintbrush, you can really work it into the crevices and get rid of anything that might remain in there. You can do it with a little soap on the end of the artist's paintbrush and then hose it off. But they're very tough. In a warmer climate, they're considered invasive and they can get really crazy. Lucky for us, they don't survive our winters, so we can plant them to our heart's content, and they don't do that. They don't survive. So I've been taking cuttings of mine, and they root really easily in water, and then potting them up. And I put about 6 of them out front. I haven't looked at them recently. I need to do that because they may need a drink, but you should be able to get whatever it is under control, and the plant should survive. Some things, they get bugs and you try to control them and they just give up the ghost. But this is a pretty tough plant, and it's it's shiny, and smooth, the foliage, which makes it much easier to get rid of any kind of critter that's hanging out in there than anything that has a texture or a fuzziness to it, because they just, hang out in the fuzz and they're hard to get rid of. But I don't think you'll have a problem. I think it'll be relatively simple.
Yeah, I repotted these into smaller pots, but at this point, in addition to the spraying, I can probably even dunk them in soapy water, and they're still small and manageable. So they look healthy. It's just that they have the white stuff on them now. Peggy, the other question is, you mentioned the peas and the cheese sandwiches. So
Yes.
we have peas, and I know where we can get some English muffins, but could you go over the recipe again for the peas
Sure.
and cheese? We had it last year and really enjoyed it.
Okay, absolutely. One of my favorite things. But before we go on to peas and cheese, when you go to dunk those pots, I find it very helpful to use tin foil around the stem and covering the soil so that you can turn the pots upside down and the dirt doesn't fall out.
Oh, good idea. Good idea. I appreciate it.
Okay, peas and cheese. All right. It goes back to when my kids were little and I needed a quick lunch and there was nothing in the house to eat, but I had tons of peas, or very little in the house to eat. So you get an English muffin and you toast it. And don't toast it too much. You don't want it overly crunchy. And then I find 2 slices of American cheese is just right. The American cheese is square, so it hangs over the edge of the English muffin a little bit. And then on the other side of the English muffin is where you put the mayonnaise. And then you take as many peas as you can fit. I find generally it's like 6 to 8 edible potted peas work, somewhere around there. And you pack them in. And then I use Jane's crazy mixed up salt. You could use plain salt, or you could use another kind of seasoned salt. I use Jane's. We use Jane's for everything. I was unable to find Jane's at the supermarket recently. I went online. I bought 9 containers so that we will not run out of Jane's crazy mixed up salt anytime in the foreseeable future. But some kind of salt or seasoned salt, and you sprinkle that on the peas, and then you put the sandwich together. Now, the thing that you have to remember, and this is very important, Chris, this is very important. You got to squish it really good, because if you don't squish it really, really good, the peas shoot out like bullets out the bottom when you go to. But so you just pick it up and you squish it down hard and you bite into it. And that's another reason why you don't want it overly crunchy. It's harder to squish if it's too crunchy. And then you enjoy. I find 2 sandwiches to be the perfect lunch. One is, a little lightweight, but 2 is perfect.
Well, we had them last year during pea season, and we did enjoy them. And I just wanted a refresher on what the recipe was. So I appreciate that.
Well, I'm hoping that if all goes well next week, I will make them, on camera.
Oh, very good.
So
very good.
that is the plan. That is the plan. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, maybe I've noticed on YouTube you have some of those little mini short segments. Maybe you could do that as something in its entirety, the peas and cheese.
There's no doubt. Tommy does all the tech stuff, and he actually. He takes most of those from the This Week at Tiny Farm, because those are like little short segments. And that's where most of them come from. But he can pull from some of the other ones as well. And that's a definite, Chris. That's going to happen for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, think about it, Peggy. This would bump up the subscription rate. There's something to be said for that. So, and then the final thing is just a tomato update. So I will try to send you pictures with the other number. But the red racers that Bob from Piscataway recommended, and the Johnny's DHN tomatoes, Red racers are winning the race. I haven't harvested anything yet, but we have like viable tomatoes and
Okay, Chris, you enjoy them. And I not only am I looking forward to the comparison for which tomato is going to come in first, but I want you to do a little taste test too, because, you know, taste is pretty important. So we'll see now that the red racer is winning the race, who's going to win the race for the taste. We'll see. Okay. And then you can do a little side by side and you can send me some pictures. That would be fun. That would be great to share.
Okay, I will keep that in mind. We'll get that started. But thank you very much, Peggy. And again, your event last week, it was really nice, and I know it took a lot of effort on your part, but a lot of people appreciated it.
I had a great time. I mean, all the people that came were so nice, and there was a lot of interesting plant material, and the music was amazing. And let's face it, could the weather have been any better? I don't think so. It was perfect.
No, good. It was good.
All right. Well, you have a great week, and I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you. Have a good day now. Bye
You
now.
too. Bye-bye now. Okay. So I guess that's everything. Is it 11 o'clock? We wrap things up? All right. Well, with a little luck, I will be here next week, same time, same place. Remember to keep gardening and stick with it and get after those weeds and have a wonderful time. It is such a joy to be able to share this. Oh, we have a caller. Okay, I'll talk to the caller. Who's the caller?
Stand by.
All right.
Oh, they're gone.
Oh, they're gone. Okay. Well, we can't get them back, right?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, they can call next week, or they can email me at gardenwithpeggy@gmail.com. Or we can talk next week. So until next week, have a good one. Bye-bye.